Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is John Gilbert, the president of Carpet One Floor and Home. John, how you doing?
Hey, Kemp, I'm doing real well. Got home early this morning from one of our summer regionals, but feeling very good.
That's what I want to talk to you about is what CCA Global is doing around these meetings this year, going to a regional format. We'll get to that in just a minute. First, let's start with how the members are doing. I know you've been meeting with them, the small groups. Tell us how's business doing.
Members are feeling very good about where they are. Let me give you some context for that. Off of 2.5 record years, our members' financials really never were in better shape. As we got into the first half of this calendar year, we're rolling over literally the best sales in the history of our Carpet One members, by and large. It varies obviously by member, but rolling over that this year with some negatives in terms of primarily retail revenue. We also look at sales versus 2019, and that's kind of our last normal years. How do we look at it? We're strongly positive versus 2019. So members are feeling good about their businesses, even though they're looking at negative comps versus prior year, mainly because everyone understands prior year was the exception, and it's not really this year that's the exception.
That's right. Just to mirror what you're saying, a lot of retail businesses compare their results to the previous year, and the first half of 22 was a strong sales numbers. So they've been comping down as much as maybe 9-10%. Now we're getting into the second half, and the second half of 22 wasn't that strong. So they're feeling a little bit better on a comparison of year over year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The consumer seems to be in a good place. Consumer confidence numbers just came out looking very positive. We're seeing that in our business. We still have a lot of buyers, as we saw during the COVID years. It's kind of behavioral shift. We're in the middle of rolling out one of our biggest initiatives in history, which is also contributing to member optimism as well as consumer satisfaction.
Yeah, a couple of little data points, and then let's get to the regional meetings. The U.S. GDP numbers for second quarter just came out. They're up 2.4%, which is up over the 2% of Q1. So that's strong, especially with all the rumors about potential recession. And then Mohawk's results came out last night, and their Flooring North America sales are down 9%, kind of reflecting what we were talking about with this residential remodel business. So let's get in the regional meetings. When you finish, at the end of September, you will have had 12 or even maybe 14 of these meetings. Talk about some of the highlights of what's going on there.
Yeah, we're about halfway through. We're still settling details on some of the final meetings that'll happen late September. We went to this regional format primarily because we felt it was a better way to connect with members on their turf and make the meetings more interactive, which is possible because they're substantially smaller than the traditional summer convention. We always had members sort of pushing back on summer convention. Why do we need 2 conventions a year? Expensive, and you're taking me out of my business during peak summer season. And so trying to be responsive to that and also recognizing the pressure on members that are both dealing with probably the most challenging first half in years, coupled with the fact that many members are launching room by room. We went to this summer format. We weren't sure what to expect. We hadn't done it in over a decade. We had done it in the past. What we're finding is members are really responsive to the format. They're in charge, so to speak. These are very member-centric meetings. We work with the members to structure them on a kind of a bespoke basis, meaning every meeting is tailored to that region's needs and wants and desires. And so they're different from each other. There's some common themes. All of them have a round table with senior executives from Carpet One and CCA, and that's proven to be, I love it. It's a chance to have questions from the floor in a less intimidating format than a big convention. So we're not only benefiting the staff where we can hear members on their turf talk about their issues, but we can also interact both on a business basis and also socially. And we're finding that to be tremendously rewarding, and I think it does represent sort of a nice balance to winter conventions going forward.
These regional meetings, your big national meeting, and last year that was in Nashville, you have a trade show which ties in with the vendors. How are you tying in with the vendors with these regional meetings?
We have let the members tell us what they want to do with regard to vendors. So in some of the regionals, vendors are very active. The major suppliers are sending their senior teams And so they're benefiting in the same ways that the staff is by having more intimate connection with our members. And we're letting that sort of member supplier relationship take front and center where members want to do it. In some cases, members are having either none or just a handful of vendors, and that's also perfectly appropriate. It's whatever the members feel they need in the moment. I will say suppliers have been terrific and generous with their time and resources in sending senior level folks. And I can speak from experience, the travel associated with these summer regionals is withering. It has been quite a challenge. In some cases, we have 2 of these regionals a week, and so that's requiring a lot of travel for a lot of folks. But I think it's a good investment, and I think it's something that we anticipate doing going forward.
What's the head count for one of these meetings? Like I know you were in Atlanta last week. How many people are there?
Oh, about 130, including staff, probably 100 members, maybe a few more. Some of the members brought multiple folks from their team, so they're able to bring sales pros and store managers, and that's created some opportunity for us to talk, directly in many cases with the doers and not just the owner-operators. That's probably been our biggest. Our smallest has probably been around 60, and that works just as well. Still big enough to create a sense of enthusiasm and energy, and not too big that you don't get the intimacy that we're looking for.
Right. And you don't have any keynote speakers at these things since they're smaller, more intimate groups, right?
There has been a keynote, but basically that's up to the members. So it's really what they want to do. Our ring coordinators are kind of working with our regional business consultants to create the agenda. We have leaned heavily toward non-structured, no presentations, particularly from staff, unless there are cases where members have asked for those. We put on a big production for Winter Convention with a lot of money spent on presentations and a lot of style and quite a bit of showmanship. We kind of wanted to create the opposite with the summer regionals, so more intimate, give and take, interaction at all levels. And so the staff have kind of shied away from I'm not doing a single slide at these summer regionals, which is very unusual for me.
Before we run out of time, let's talk about the Retail 2.0 rollout, the brand on that, calling it Room by Room now, right?
Yeah, Room by Room is the consumer-facing brand.
Your goal was to have 1,200 of these set up by toward the end of this year. How are you doing on that goal?
We were never going to be at 1,200 by the end of this year. Our goal will be 1,200 by the end of next year. That was always the target, and we'll easily accomplish that. We're about 10 days to 2 weeks behind in terms of number of installs. So far, that's primarily because of some shipping issues coming out of COVID. We were affected as well, but we're real pleased with the project. Speaking to a ton of members that have had it installed, the members are really pleased with the outcome.
That's right. I'm in Annapolis right now, and you have a member here called Modern Carpet One.
Sure.
They had their install about a month ago, and I got to see it firsthand. It looks really good. It really does change the showroom look, kind of uniform. I think they're real happy with it. Yep,
they are at that location. I think the thing to keep in mind, Kemp, and really the idea here was we had 2 customers, one, the ultimate flooring consumer, and number 2, the member themselves. And in both cases, we're seeing terrific satisfaction with the outcome, and consumer feedback has been fantastic in terms of ease of shopping. So we're real happy with the outcome here so far.
Okay, John. Well, I appreciate you giving us an update on what's been going on with this regional meeting format. Again, been talking to John Gilbert, the president of Carpet One Floor and Home, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.